How you doing, Bryce?
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Doing pretty good. All right, so on the phone, we got the director of After Porn Ends, Bryce Wagoner. How you doing today?
Doing all right, guys. How y'all doing?
Doing pretty good. Now, we were just describing what After Porn Ends is to the listeners. It really takes a look at a handful of porn stars, male and female, and different people in the business, and just really looks at them and goes, sometimes there is more, and sometimes there isn't after the cameras stop and you stop taking a couple of cocks every minute.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted to show so many different people instead of just doing, a traditional, Louis Theroux sort of concept where you're following just one or two, to show that, there really is a broad spectrum of what goes on out there. And, and a lot of times it's not so dynamic when people leave the porn business. They're just like most other people out there living just kind of, going to work and paying their bills and doing their thing, they're not out there conquering the world, but they're living it day to day and just, like I said in the description of the film, just trying to live the normal life that, millions of other Americans try to enjoy every day.
Very cool. Now, something I found interesting was you guys shot this in 2010, but didn't release it for 2 years. Now, was that to get the follow-up stories that were at the end of the film, or was there another reason?
No, man, that's the film business, unfortunately. You get it out there, and when you make a film, where porn is your subject. I mean, if you can't tell from the way I talk, I'm from the South. The first thing everybody back home said, "Oh man, Bryce is making a porn movie. He just quit Hollywood and he's doing porn." When they hear about what this was, and you get a lot of those same sentiments in the movie business too. As quote unquote bold and daring as many in Hollywood claim to be, they still don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole at times. They'll and even though you see that it's non-exploitative, there's some boobs in there, but as my grandfather said, you can't make a movie about lumberjacks without showing some trees getting cut down.
That's the greatest analogy I've ever heard.
So, we just had, it was a tough sell. It was tough. It took me 2 years of pitching it to even get it made. And then, and thank God for our awesome distributors over at Gravitas, who saw that, the model is take it to the people, let the people decide. And we're the number one documentary and independent film on iTunes, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. So the people did decide that it was entertainment they wanted to see.
Yeah, no, I just actually watched it yesterday, and I mean, I was really amazed that it wasn't, like, oh, look, they're porn stars. There was nothing exploitive about it. It was very true to life, and it was, you kept a good pace in the film where you're going, all right, I'm tired of hearing about this one. I'm tired of hearing about that one. Everything kept at a good clip, and you actually learned a decent amount about the business. I can't remember who was saying it. I think it might have been Randy West saying, if you're going to get into porn, you only have a little bit of time in it. You're not going to make this long stay in it. But then there's people that just get trapped into it and they're stuck for life.
Yeah, and that's we caught a little flack. I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say I didn't read some of the message boards from time to time where people said it was boring. But when you're showing real life. Real life can be boring unless you're paying attention. And stuff like what Randy said, that's the way that business is, and we wanted to capture that. And there was no, real special way to make that more exciting than, unless you, have a brain and you actually want to be stimulated by interesting facts. So, we were lucky to have people like Randy be really honest with us, so we didn't have to do any of those tricks that a lot of documentarians tend to do at times. The only thing that people really held back with us on was that and if we do another film, I will definitely approach it, but is the escorting side of the business, which is becoming incredibly prominent, it's not becoming, it is incredibly prominent right now in the XXX business. But other than, and we had a few people say, well, I don't really want to talk about that time in my life. But that was, 5% of a life that they gave us 95% of everything else. you know, completely open and honestly. So we were lucky to get that.
Yeah, and that was one. I can't remember the woman's name, but she was, you know, such an advocate of trying to shut down the porn business now. And it's like, you know, it's like any addict saying, oh, well, just because I was a drunk for a long time, that means they have to stop, you know, making alcohol now because it was a part of my life. But everybody else kind of embraced their past and went, look, this is what we did. This is, you know, who we were. It doesn't make us bad people. It's what we did for a living.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that was Shelley Lubin. Roxy was her stage name when she was in the porn business. And yeah, I mean that's what we do as. God, I don't want to sound like some, you know, patchouli smelling like Buddhist guy, but you know, not to knock Buddhist or anything, but you know what I mean. We do have to embrace what we've done in our lives and move on. You know, I mean, Jesus, I spent 9 years in college. I was that guy.
It's okay. I did 4 years at 2-year community college.
I drank and partied and did all this stuff, but you know what? All that drinking and partying got me to a moment of clarity where I figured out that, hey, I really want to make movies.
Right, and that's the thing. You can't ignore what your past was ever.
Exactly, and you know, and I will say this: I'm not a pro porn guy, you know, and I'm not a really anti porn guy. You know, I'm a guy, okay? So I mean, but it does bug me. You know, when I first started doing this, it does bug me that people like Houston are given such a hard time trying to move on. You know, when they're like, hey, that was, you know, whatever amount of years ago I did this, you know, and I'm sorry that I've got big boobs and I'm sorry that I'm pretty, you know, but please let me move on to my career. And, you know, that really bugs me that a lot of those people, you know, aren't able to do that.
And that was something interesting. I found that, you know, she tried to go into real estate and the people went, oh, we recognize you because we've jerked off to you. By the way, you can't work here anymore.
Yeah. You know, what a bunch of pricks, man. You know, I mean, I want to put like hot sauce in their lube, you know, and let them have fun with it. So yeah, that's you know, and unfortunately, I mean, and I don't say unfortunately because I think it's you know, porn's a bad thing, but unfortunately, like Houston had to go back to porn, you know, since the movies come out.
Yeah, I know she was out at AVN this year. That's why I'm watching this. I'm going, she wasn't out. I saw her at AVN this year.
Yeah, and I say it's unfortunate because, you know, that's not what she wanted to do. She wanted to be a nurse, you know, and she just couldn't do it. You know, she made good grades, but she just couldn't get hired.
You got to fight cancer somehow. You know?
What's that?
You got to fight cancer somehow. So.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, it's the woman is, you know, fighting literally for her life. You know, as brave a fight as, you know, as there are out there. So, yeah, and that kind of sucked, you know. And did I want to, you know, get a hold of those people and get them on camera and expose them for the pricks that they were? Yeah, but I couldn't, which kind of sucks. But, you know, it's good to see that that the audience, you know, recognizes what happens.
Yep, definitely. All right, man, we want to thank you for calling in, and you can find After Porn Ends. You can go to either afterpornends.com. You can find it on Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, iTunes, and I definitely do recommend finding it and checking it out. Thanks for calling in, man.
Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem. You have a good one.